Vicks Sinex nasal spray works within seconds and works up to 12 hours. It's cold and flu season. NFL is going to be handing out all sorts of fines here and suspensions. We are told here at the Herd there's going to be multiple players who left the bench, who left it early. Mason Rudolph, the quarterback, did not get fined, has not been suspended. No punishment for the quarterback, nor should there be. He's the quarterback. This is not every other position. It's the highest paid. It's the most important. It's the position you don't hit in practice. The quarterback is different. These are not all the same. It's like your ace in baseball. He only pitches every 5 days, and he's on a pitch count. Second baseman, you're sick. Get out there. Quarterback is, you see this in business all the time. There are departments in every business and people that have certain access. You don't. Quarterbacks are that employee. You protect them. Once you get drilled late, I don't need any pictures from Ohio guy. Well, Mason Rudolph grabbed this. He can grab whatever he wants. He was illegally hit. He is vulnerable. Quarterbacks can't see it coming. Then somebody bonks him on the head with a helmet. I 100% support all quarterbacks here. They can be blindside hit. They're the most valuable. They're really the least protected. And so I think the NFL is sending a message. Don't mess with quarterbacks. Period. In fact, I think if Myles Garrett would have done most of this against another player, it may be a 4 to 6 game suspension. This is a message by the NFL. Don't kid yourself. Quarterback, nothing. They got the tape. Nothing. Player, out. Maybe forever. Okay, so Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland, this is typical Cleveland Browns. They came in wanting to send a message. The NFL sent one to them. Your best player out indefinitely. Never mess with a quarterback. And I would be defending Baker Mayfield today if a Steeler did the same thing. You got to protect these quarterbacks. They're not like everybody else. We don't compensate them the same. They wear a special shield at practice. You can't hit them the same. That's how I've always said this about college football. You can transfer all you want, but I think if you're a college quarterback, you should be able to transfer one time because you put so much irreparable damage if you're bouncing around in and out of programs and a college coach wakes up one day and goes, I don't have a quarterback. The whole program, you can make it with a bad left tackle. You can't play without a quarterback. So, and the other thing I saw last night, you know what I watched? That was a 4-hour slogfest between two bad teams. Here's what I saw last night. This is Baltimore's division. It's over. This is Baltimore's division. Baltimore's got the best coach. They got the best identity. They got the best young quarterback by far. They got the best tight ends. They got the improving defense. Maybe not as good as the Steelers, but it's getting better. They've got experience, a great front office, great scout. They get Marcus Peters. That's what last night was. Everybody thinks it's about Steelers-Browns. That game was about Baltimore. Season over, division over. These two teams are not playoff teams. And this is what happens in November in the NFL, is that you can start eliminating teams. You see certain things, certain images, like the Rams against the Steelers. You're like, oh, hell, the Rams' interior offensive line, that's not fixable. Rams are not a playoff team. Out. You watch Chicago 2 weeks ago against Philadelphia. Bears had one first-half first down. Boom, out. They can't play at the next level against an elite defensive line. And, you know, the NFC's got Philly's line, Cowboys line, San Francisco, Saints line. So you see these indelible images in November. You can't cancel a team in like September or October, but by November, 9 or 10 games in, problems, they're too late to fix. You just don't have any, you don't have any remedy. You don't have a trade deadline. It's over. These teams are done. Cleveland, here's how bad Cleveland is. That you didn't know Cleveland had this game wrapped up until Mason Rudolph threw his 4th pick. You had 120 yards in penalties. I mean, this game at home should have been over. Pittsburgh was on their backup quarterback, their 3rd-string running back, and lost their two best receivers. And it wasn't done until Mason Rudolph threw his 4th pick because Cleveland's an undisciplined tire fire. And as for Pittsburgh, they're done. Yeah, I said this yesterday. It's the AFC. You got Tom Brady. I got Patrick Mahomes. I got Derek Carr. I got Lamar Jackson. I got Deshaun Watson. Mason Rudolph? I mean, come on. Let's just stop the nonsense. Maybe one of these teams sneaks in, but I don't think so. Tennessee's better. Ryan Tannehill can play a little bit. Oakland's better. Indianapolis has and Jacoby Brissett's coming back. The Chargers, Phillip Rivers. These are awful. I mean, listen, I really love Pittsburgh's history. I love their culture. There's so much I like about Pittsburgh. But when you get to November, you can just start canceling checks. I mean, you watch the Rams O-line, you're like, oh, hell, you can't fix that. It's too late. You watch Chicago, Trubisky, they can't move the ball with a good D-line in Philadelphia. A season's over. These teams, this is Baltimore's division. Baltimore's better at everything. Identity, O-line, coach, now secondary, it's over. This was a mess. This was just, I sat there and thought, if I didn't work for Fox, I mean, I was like, I got to watch this because I got to talk about it tomorrow morning on my show. If I didn't work today, I'd just turn the game off. Those are not playoff teams. Enjoy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
That was a brutal performance to watch by Mason Rudolph.
Oh, God.
That's why I said the Steelers should be in the conversation for getting a quarterback next year.
Oh, I think they have to draft one. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not. I was never a believer in
they
Mason
don't need
Rudolph.
a first-round pick. Go to the second round, but Mason Rudolph's not the answer. Whatever the question is, he's not the answer.
He's not the answer. Well, there was obviously a ton of reaction to the incident with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph last night online. Patrick Mahomes tweeted, "Bro, I can't even believe that just happened." J.J. Watt said that is insanity. Wow. Des Bryant said he's done for the rest of the year.
Yep.
Deion Sanders, Mason Rudolph should be significantly fined as well for trying to rip Myles Garrett's helmet off his head, which ignited the retaliation. He's not without fault in the unfortunate matter. This is a physical, emotional game played by men. Let's not forget that. #truth. So obviously he's somewhat in the other camp as far as Mason Rudolph being responsible for it. Bill Belichick was informed this morning that this is a very big topic around the sports world, this incident with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. And he explained that post-play skirmishes have been addressed multiple times with the Patriots team. He said every situation is different. We can go back and look at 50 of these through the years, some type of fighting or ejections. They're all different. I wouldn't say it's like offside penalties. There's a lot of different things happening, different situations, and so forth and so on. Yes, fundamentally, I told players what we should do in those situations, how we should handle them. I think they've done a good job with it. So this is something that Bill Belichick actively spoke with his team about before it happened. Obviously, I can't even, I mean, we would never see something like this with the Patriots.
Here's the other thing we have to consider. Myles Garrett is heavily penalized. Like, this is a Myles Garrett thing now. Like,
yes, reputation is going to play a role in this.
It's just like anything else. It's like as a parent, if you have two kids and one's never in trouble and one always is, the one that always is, the leash.
You don't get the benefit of the doubt.
You don't get it.
Look, I don't think that Mason Rudolph is fully without blame here, but say that, and then it just goes straight to the fact that there's no excuse for what Myles Garrett did. Like, you can acknowledge that Mason Rudolph played a role in this, but none of it reaches that level. None of it explains away or excuses Myles Garrett retaliating that way.
Pouncey for the Steelers got suspended for 3. I don't have a problem with him being suspended. You can't kick people. So now Pouncey, there's an argument to be made he's defending his guy, but you can't kick players in sports.
I think 3 is excessive, but I'm not going to argue with it either.
Yeah.
Although I do think it's excessive. However, this, again, is not a story about the Steelers or how Pouncey retaliated from seeing his quarterback getting hit over the head with a helmet by one of the biggest, strongest defensive ends in the league. In that moment, of course, things are going to happen. This is all about the Browns. Like, the Browns won a very significant game last night, and instead of talking about how they played and what a good win that was when everyone thought they were going to lose, except for Browns fans, of course, we're talking about what a disaster they are. And if they're just the most undisciplined team, maybe of all time. They have 4 ejections. That's tied for most in the NFL since 2001. They have the most penalties accepted at 87, and the most penalty yards at 822. It's like a joke. Like, they are literally the most undisciplined team, perhaps, in the history of the NFL.
Well, think about the last 2 weeks if you're a Browns fan. You won both games, but go to Twitter. Your own team drove you crazy in the red zone because you were an undisciplined, unfocused mess. And last night, Browns fans were like, this is a disaster.
There were 5 seconds left in the game.
It's bad.
5 seconds. So the Cowboys are 5-4, tied atop of the NFC East, but they've lost 4 of their last 6 games and obviously need to step it up. Dak Prescott, however, continues to express confidence in his team. He's not worried about their record right now.
No concerns. They're gonna flip, and when we get them flipping, this team, these players, the character of these men, there's no doubt that it's going to go the right way. You go back, look at it, we're playing better, right? We just hadn't won those games, so I mean, we're continuing to get better. You don't want to peak too early, and this is a confident group that know we're going to peak at the right time. We've got all the faith and trust that we're going to get there. We're going to be accountable in doing that and handle the things we need to handle.
I don't really have any doubt that they're going to win their division.
Matt Stafford's not playing, I don't think, this weekend.
So that's
a win.
That's a win.
Just came down.
I have no doubt they're going to win their division. The rest of their season is at the Lions, then at the Patriots, the Bills at home, at the Bears, Rams at home, at the Eagles, and the Redskins.
Yeah.
The Eagles, the rest of the schedule, they're also 5-4. Patriots, Seahawks at home, at the Dolphins, Giants at home, at the Redskins, the Cowboys, and then at the Giants. So the Eagles have a slightly lighter schedule.
Yeah.
But I'm not really worried about them winning the division or making the playoffs. It's what are you going to do in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think
the way that they're playing and starting games is not going to work in playoff
I'll
football.
say it. Of all the division leaders, if we count the Cowboys as a division leader, of all the division leaders in the NFL, one, I can't figure out their offensive identity. Houston is iffy. It's Deshaun Watson and cross your fingers, but at least they've addressed their running game and O-line, so I feel like it's Deshaun and a running game.
Right.
Dallas is good, but I don't know what their identity is offensively, and I don't think they do, or they wouldn't give the ball to Zeke against Minnesota late when Dak was playing the best game as a pro.
Right, and I think for the last, since Zeke has entered the league, obviously, we've said that it's Ezekiel Elliott. Obviously, their offensive identity was Ezekiel Elliott, but it's not feeling like that this year, and that's an issue for them because that's the way their team is built.
Yeah.
Finally, big news in the NBA, Carmelo Anthony is getting another chance. He will reportedly sign with the Portland Trail Blazers and will get a non-guaranteed deal. He'll join the team for their upcoming 6-game road trip, which starts tomorrow in San Antonio. The Blazers are 13th in the Western Conference right now with a 4-8 record, so not a great start for the Blazers this year, who pretty much everyone felt like was going to be playing better than this at this point.
You know, people put their biggest, longest defender on Damian Lillard, and Portland needs a second gear. They've got some good players, but they need somebody that can hit the 18-footer, even if it's not a 3-2, and Carmelo probably provides that.
Hopefully. That's what they're hoping for. He hasn't played since he was cut November 15th in 2018, but obviously he's been in the discussion a lot. I'm very excited to see what he can do. I don't like the narrative around Carmelo Anthony, and I don't like the way that it seemed like it was going to end.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him finish this year with a team and see what he can possibly contribute.
It would certainly, if he helped them, it would be a nice little caveat at the end of his
career.
run.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be a nice, instead of the way it clunky.
Right, and I don't think he deserved that kind of exit because he has been a great player, and for it to
he's a Hall of Famer.
For it to end that way would not feel right.
Yeah, I'm not a Carmelo fan, but he is a Hall of Famer. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.